So if you're like me, you're probably wondering what this idea of shifting is, which is taking over platforms like TikTok.
And when we talk about shifting to parallel realities, we really talk about shifting your awareness into a different body-mind configuration of physical reality.
As someone who's an avid fan of Harry Potter and has been for most of my life, I couldn't help but want to give this a try. So if you clicked on this video, you're probably like, who is this girl? What is she talking about? Is she crazy? And what am I doing here? All very great questions, which will be answered in this video. But first, let me preface this by saying I'm not crazy. This is 100% real. It is possible to switch into another reality, which is basically what shifting is. So let me explain. First of all, you're probably wondering, what is shifting? Like I said, this is basically just a way to shift realities. And this information is initially from TikTok, which is where I found out about what shifting even is, as well as my own research. So I'm not just going off of one person's supposed experience doing this. If you look into it, it's actually a legitimate scientific theory backed by CIA documents. So at first glance, if you just read the title of this video and thought this girl's on something, I'm telling you, please look it up. It's literally a real thing. So many people have had experiences with it. And what I mean by that is basically that there's a scientific theory saying that there are an infinite number of realities, which basically when you take the right approach, when you use the right methods, you have the ability to script, which I'll get into in a bit, your what's called desired reality. And then once you script or get an idea of what this desired reality is, you can literally travel there. So you're probably wondering okay, is this just dreaming? Is this just a lucid dream? No. Basically, it feels like you're really there. It might feel kind of like a lucid dream, but you're literally really there in another reality. You have complete control over your thoughts, your mind, your decisions, and the other people there are real people. If you think about it, it's basically just a version of yourself in a different universe. So there's basically an infinite number of versions of yourself. Listen, I'm no scientist, but from what I've read and what I've researched, there can basically be a universe that's exactly like ours right now, but maybe in that universe, you ate something different for dinner. That can be a whole separate universe or reality. I keep saying universes, I'm thinking of the multiverse theory. Once again, I'm not a scientist, but this has been scientifically proven and backed. So next, let's get into how you do this exactly. So there's plenty of different methods, which you can look more into if you're curious. I think there's other YouTube videos about it. Also TikTok, but if you don't want to use TikTok as your primary source, which I totally get, just Google is probably your best friend for this. But for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna be talking about the Raven method. What I will say though, is that for each method, the key is that you actually have to believe that it's working. You have to believe that you're going to shift the night that you do it, or else it will not work. If you're not 100% invested, then it just won't work and you'll have wasted your time. So on to the next part, what is the Raven method? I have kind of a step-by-step thing here that explains how to do it. So I'll just go over it kind of briefly. So first you have to lay down on your back in a starfish position. I don't want to demonstrate it because I don't want to make a fool of myself, but basically I think you're supposed to have your arms out like this and then your legs kind of open in a weird way, like a starfish. You know what a starfish is. So while you're in the starfish position, you have to count to 100 slowly. And as you do that, really visualize your desired reality, or DR. I'll just call it DR from now on because it's a lot easier. You have to make sure that you're not moving, you're completely still while you're doing this. So then after a while, people say that they feel kind of numbness or tingles on their body, specifically their arms and their legs. Don't freak out while this is happening because it's actually a sign that you're really shifting and that it's working. And then when you finish counting to 100, you're supposed to really visualize a specific scene from your DR. So in my case, I scripted a very specific scene that when I wake up, I will be in a certain place, which I will also talk about that in the next part. And once you get to 100, you basically just fall asleep. So you also have to make sure that you're very tired when you're doing this, because if you're not that tired, you'll just probably lay there awake after you count to 100 being okay, so what's gonna happen next? And that's not to say to deprive yourself of sleep. This is a process that I have seen people say if it doesn't work your first night, which you have to believe that it will or else it won't. But if it doesn't, in that case, you should take breaks in between because it's really not healthy for your brain, and it will probably not even help you anyways. It'll probably just make the whole process a lot worse and not even work. So don't be sleep deprived, but definitely don't be fully awake when you're trying to do this. So now on to scripting, which I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this are really curious about. So you don't need a script, but it's highly recommended that you have one because it makes your DR a whole lot easier to actually visualize. And by the way, this isn't to say that you can only shift to Hogwarts. I'm just doing it because I have nothing better to do with my life. With the script, you can be as thorough with it as you want. Like some people only have like one page, which personally I did a lot more, but that's because I'm like a very thorough person and like very detail oriented. So like if I think that I'm missing one thing, I have to like go back and redo it all over again. I guess I'll read over what I included in my script and kind of give you guys advice if you have no idea what to write, because I had no idea at first. Okay, so I actually refilmed this part because there were quite a few changes that I made to my script as time went on, and I wanted to make sure that I was showing the most up-to-date version. So this is my script. So here I'm going to show just a brief flip through of what my script looks like. As you can see from the beginning, I just put in a little fake Hogwarts acceptance letter, and then throughout I added some pictures just to help me kind of visualize better. All of it's just to help me visualize because I find that I have trouble as I'm shifting trying to like visualize my DR. It's nothing fancy. I didn't want to go all out because I was like, what if I like make changes to my script and then like what's the point of like making it all beautiful and fancy when like I'm just gonna change it probably in a few days. So hopefully like I don't have to change too much of this. Like I tried to make it as specific as I want, but also not so specific that like I can't make any of the decisions for myself in my DR, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm just gonna briefly go over this. Well, I don't know if it'll be brief. I'm gonna try to make this as brief as possible because there's quite a bit. And yes, I know my journal is beautiful. I didn't buy this just for the purpose of writing the script. I actually got this as a gift for my birthday, so don't come for me, don't judge me. Here we go. The first section is the About Me section. I will be shifting to Hogwarts in the 1990s. My name is blank, and I'm 16 years old in my DR, but look like myself in my current reality and have my current reality 20-year-old mind. Because I do not want to look like my 16-year-old self, since that is atrocious and I would cry. My birthday is blank. I cannot gain weight. My family is made up of blank. And then I put in a little brief thing to explain kind of how I got to Hogwarts, because I put in that I have an American accent, so I kind of need to like go over, you know, how someone with an American accent is like in Hogwarts. I'm in the Hufflepuff house because, you know, Hufflepuff is the best house. I get good grades and am well liked by the professors, especially McGonagall. Snape pretends not to like me because I am a Hufflepuff, but he knows I am smart and excel in his class, so he makes exceptions for me. I'm popular, but mainly because I'm friends with Harry, Ron, and Hermione, who I become close to in my first year at Hogwarts. I have other friends too, including Luna, Neville, and Fred and George, who I often pull pranks with. It's totally optional to script who you're friends with. Like sometimes people want their relationships and friendships to happen organically, which is like totally fine, but like I'm not trying to leave anything up to chance. I don't want to be like a loner at Hogwarts, so just to be safe, I did that. My friends feel like they've known me for years. I'm especially good with caring for magical creatures and am an excellent witch for my age. I know lots of spells and charms. My pet is a tuxedo cat that looks like my cat Lucky for my current reality, and my wand is a chestnut wood with unicorn hair, 4.5 inches, and unyielding flexibility. My Patronus is a West Highland Terrier. Those are just things that I got from the Pottermore quiz, in addition to being sorted into Hufflepuff. Okay, moving on to what I call the settings of my DR. So you should put where you're gonna be when you wake up for the first time in your DR. I put that I'm gonna be on the Hogwarts Express, about to begin my 6th year, and I'm sitting in a car with Ron, Harry, and Hermione, and we're all in the same year. I also scripted that I'll open my eyes when I have fully shifted, so like I'll know for sure. So now like this is gonna be like a list of things that I think they might be like small things that you wouldn't think to include in your script, and like I saw a lot of people being like, you should add these like if you just have no idea what to put. So just to be safe and to cover all the bases, I put these in my script. Also, if you're a girl, this might help you out too, so you might want to pay attention to this. I'm always healthy and can't get sick. I always smell good. People like me. I don't get my period. I don't get acne. My nails are always done and shaped. I don't have to use the bathroom or shower. I don't have to study or do homework. I never have frizzy hair. I have an infinite amount of clothes at Hogwarts. I have great style. I look good in everything I wear. My clothes are always clean. I said 1 week in my DR is equal to 1 hour in my current reality. When I leave my DR, time freezes there, and when I come back, I pick up where I left off. When I return to my current reality, I can remember everything I did in my DR. It's impossible for me to get stuck in my DR. Which, okay, people think that like you can get stuck there. They're like, I've seen the movie Inception. I know what's gonna happen to me, but listen, like it's not the same as Inception. Like you can obviously tell the difference when you're in that reality versus like when you're here, especially if you're like scripting that you're going to Hogwarts. It's physically impossible for you to get stuck, but like I just added that anyway because I'm like paranoid. I can't die. I can't feel pain or get any lasting trauma. I can't get attached to my DR. I can't get expelled or get into any serious trouble. People I'm close to can't die. I know my way around Hogwarts and can't get lost. I can always find the room of requirement. I can sleep easily. I always have money with me. There's no prejudice against Muggle-borns or half-bloods. I can tell Fred and George Weasley apart, which I can't do that like in this actual reality. So definitely script that like if you want to be friends with them. To leave my DR, I have to say back to reality or clap 3 times in a row. I also scripted a safe word, which is like a word that you know will never come up in conversation in that reality. I can hear my alarm clock from my current reality in my DR. Okay, so now on to the last section, which is a bit spicy. This is for if you want to script that you're going to be in a relationship with certain characters. I'll add the plural at the end in case you wanna, I don't know. Like, it's up to you. I don't know what you want to do in your DR. But anyway, so I changed this a little bit as well because originally it was just gonna be me and a certain blonde-haired Slytherin boy. But I decided, this is just embarrassing, but I don't even care. But listen. I'm not trying to like cheat on anyone. Like, obviously I know that they're like real people when I go there, but like sometimes you just gotta add a little bit of like spice to your life, you know what I mean? I scripted that over the course of my school year, I will develop a romantic relationship with Draco Malfoy. Even though he hates people in other houses, he makes an exception for me and has a soft spot for me. That is important to script because apparently he's like a horrible person. Like, if you don't script that, if you're in another house or if you're not a pureblood, he literally will like bully you. I scripted like how we became friends specifically. We have a lot in common and we become friends easily and effortlessly. This part you can literally be like as specific or as not specific as you want. I know people who have scripted like specific scenarios to happen with like their romantic interests or whatever. I'm probably just gonna leave a lot of what happens up to the DR and up to my like own decision making, if that makes sense. We keep our relationship secret because Harry, Ron, and Hermione would disapprove of it. Draco is not abusive and respects me, which is also important to include if you want to script a relationship with him. And then this is the part that I added. I said that during this time, Ron also develops a crush on me and becomes jealous of mine and Draco's relationship. My feelings get complicated because I also start to like Ron, and then Ron invites me to spend winter break with his family at the Burrow. That's all I put for that part because I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't really know like who I would choose in that situation because lately I've also started to like Ron as well, even though Draco's like, I love him. I don't know. Listen, sometimes you just gotta like lay out your options and see what happens. So yeah, that's basically my script. Please let me know if like anyone has any other advice for like things I should add because like I'm always looking for things to add. Okay, so I'm in the process of getting ready for bed, but I just thought that I would show you kind of like my setup. I don't really know what else to call it, but kind of like things that you should do before you actually start the process of shifting. So first, something that was highly recommended is meditating before you shift. So I have this kind of like guided meditation to clear your mind and focus, which I think is something that you really need to do in order to actually do this. And then after I do that, I have another video pulled up, which are with subliminals, basically like with Harry Potter music to kind of help you visualize being there. I used this. I'll like leave the links down below as well. But yeah, maybe just like listen to this while you're like laying down, preparing yourself to shift. And then I also saw that people have actually been putting their scripts underneath their pillow when they sleep. Okay, I'm just gonna finish getting ready for bed and then I'll let you know how it goes in the morning. So, it's the next morning. Needless to say, it did not work. So basically I did the meditation, I looked over my script before I went to bed, and then I put the subliminal sounds on, but I realized like you're probably supposed to like fall asleep listening to it, like as you're doing the method and counting. I put in my headphones, I turned like all the notifications off on my phone so that I'd like actually be able to listen to it without getting distracted. So, you know, I was doing everything right, like literally down to the T. I got to 100. I didn't fall asleep, so I don't think I was tired enough, even though I waited until I was like very tired. Then I just stayed awake, but I kept counting and like my eyes were still closed. Although I will say I had the weirdest sensation. Like my arms felt numb, my legs kind of felt numb, and like tingling. My head felt like it was like spinning around me, which like, I don't know, it sounds kind of scary, and like I tried not to get freaked out because like I didn't want to mess it up, and I was like trying to stay very still. I didn't feel different in the sense like I didn't feel like I was actually like projecting myself into another reality. I don't know what that's supposed to feel like, but I feel like maybe I got kind of close, but I think that I just got kind of freaked out. I just went to sleep in a different position that was more comfortable because the starfish position is like very uncomfortable and I'm not used to like sleeping that way. So, ignoring how exhausted I look right now, unfortunately, it didn't work again. I tried to do the method for longer, and like, I tried to keep my eyes closed for like as long as I could because I was like trying to fall asleep in the starfish position. But yeah, once again, I got past 100 because I had trouble falling asleep like as soon as I got to 100. And I think at one point the subliminals stopped and it kind of like scared me because it was really abrupt. And like at that point, it probably been like 20 minutes. I like woke up, I like jolted awake. So I thought that I just shifted at first because I was like, oh my God, like my body just automatically woke me up. That must mean that I'm there, right? But no, I was still just lying in my bed. Hello, I'm at home now, which is why my background looks different. I waited quite a while until I tried to shift again because I just figured it might be best to have a little break in between, and so I tried last night and still no luck. I think I just like fell asleep after I counted to 100 and I was laying in that position, and I guess like maybe I moved and it messed up the position or something like that. So attempt number 4, I was not successful again. I think I was just like really tired when I did it, and so I fell asleep like as I was counting. Like I kept like dozing off and then I would forget like where I was. I'm probably gonna try again tomorrow night with the Raven method just because I have a really early class tomorrow morning, and if the Raven method like keeps not working, I might look into other methods. I've heard about the Estelle method. That's one that I might possibly use. There's a bunch out there, so honestly I think I might just like try out several and like see what works best for me. I'm starting to lose hope, but I know you have to believe that you'll do it. It's just like so hard because you keep seeing other people like getting there and I'm like, why is it not working for me? Like, what am I doing wrong? Okay, so I realized that this video is getting a bit long, like a lot longer than I anticipated. So I'm just gonna like probably end this here, I think. I'm still gonna keep trying, and as I mentioned, trying different methods because obviously one method doesn't work for everyone and what I do may not work for you. So take my words with a grain of salt. I just want to say also, if you watch this all the way through, thank you so much. Like, I really hope that it was interesting and like somewhat informative for someone who's not an expert on the topic. And side note, I made a little Spotify playlist that's Harry Potter themed, and also might be good to use to like visualize while you're shifting or before you shift, kind of like turning on the playlist and like thinking that you're in Hogwarts. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe subscribe if you like this video as well, because it'll encourage me to make more videos in the future.